It's Brittany. So today will be a back in time watches video, and today I'll be telling you the first time that I've watched Scream. So so by the time that I was very little, I did not really grow up watching um, horror movies. I did grow up watching um, like the classic monster movies, like The Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein, and The Invisible Man. So those ones I did grow up watching, but anything of the horror movies that came out in the 90s, definitely not. But that's okay though. Um, and so it wasn't until when I was 13, and then the first horror movie that I've watched was actually Scream. And now, when I did watch Scream, I didn't watch any other horror movies at the time. I have heard about like Halloween, um, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th, and I have heard of those ones, but I have not seen those. But Scream was the first like slasher horror movie that I've seen. So yes, I was 13, and it was just me and my sister at home, and so we turned on the TV, and all of a sudden we saw this movie on, and it says Scream, and I'm like, oh, like, okay, what's this about? So we turned it on, and then yeah, we were both watching the movie, and as we can see, that Drew Barrymore is in the beginning of the movie, and we're like, hey, because so of course we recognized her, and so we can see how she gets this phone call, and how there's this guy on the other line of the phone, and then of course then things start to get a bit scary, especially when she tells him off, and then he says something to her, and we're like, oh my gosh. So yeah, the first time watching Scream, I would say pretty much from the beginning, I didn't know what to expect. But it wasn't until it was starting to get intense and scary that, yeah, I was like, okay, where is this going? And so as seeing Ghostface entering the house where she can see him from the kitchen, it's like, what? And I think what was interesting is that with Ghostface, that, yeah, I remember thinking like, okay, whoever this is definitely in costume, like this long black robe with a ghost face mask. And so, yeah, and so I'm thinking like, okay, that is scary. um so yeah, of course, so even seeing what was going on, and pretty much like the opening scene where she gets killed, like, yeah, it was just like, no, like, so yeah, I did not like how she got killed. But yeah, at the same time, even though after it shows her and her mother screaming, it's like, that was horrible. And it was just like, oh, like, that's just horrible to see. So of course I felt bad for her parents that they had to see that. And then of course it goes off to, then after that, of course then we see Neve Campbell, and because she's like the main character of the movie. But then of course, as the movie goes on, you know um you know I just kept on watching it, and I'm like, okay, like, I don't know where this is going, but I want to find out. And so along the way, it's like, yeah, I was beginning to like the character, of Sydney. And so even the scene, where there's Sydney, Tatum, Randy, Stu, and Billy. So, so even seeing Sydney's best friend Tatum, yeah, I even liked her. I even liked Randy. But then, because even during that scene where they're all together, like having lunch, or no, not lunch, but maybe have like just hanging out, and they're probably like, I think it was Randy that was having a snack. He was having grapes, and so yeah. So I don't know why I'm losing my voice. So yeah, during this scene, I'm like, okay, so far I like these characters. I like Sydney, Tatum, and Randy, but between Billy and Stu, I didn't know what to think of them yet. And that's a funny thing because I did not know what to really think of them yet. And so now, of course, I knew that, of course, that Billy was Sydney's boyfriend, but even the way he looked, even the way he acted, I was like, like, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure if I like him, because I thought, like, I don't know if it's, so I just don't know what to think of him. But then with Stu, there was something Stu said that I was like, what? Okay, like, yeah, I can see from what he was acting a little, uh, how do I put it? It was, I don't know, I just thought he was acting like a little weird, like almost like he's somehow trying too hard to like fit in into the group. Like maybe he's trying to make himself look funny when he probably is not. So I don't know. I just got this off feeling from Stu, and so I think what I really didn't like is when he joked about something. Because there was something that Randy said, and then Stu, he said, you better leave her alone. And then he says in a strange, a bit weird way, saying, like, leave her alone. And then he sticks his tongue all the way out. And you can see this look that this look that Billy has. And then he probably, like, hits him, you know and and yeah, then he says what I think in such a way where he's like live and live, it was a joke. Like, come on, seriously, like, you should not joke like that, like your classmate, um like somebody who went to school with all of you got brutally murdered, and yet you're joking by saying live her alone. Like, really? And yeah, and I think that's what threw me off about Stiz, because when he said live her alone and then he sticks his tongue all the way out, like, somehow that just seemed off to me, and I just felt like, excuse me, like, don't joke like that is disrespectful. Like, you should never do that, you know and so now, of course, I'm not gonna talk about the whole movie here. I was just saying how there's just certain characters there are some characters I liked right away, but between Billy and Stu, I didn't know what to think of them. And because the way acted no I'm sorry because the way Stewed, what is going on? I feel like my mind need caffeine here. So I feel like the way Stu acted was just seemed very off-putting, and it just threw me off, especially when he did that, like I said. So I did not like that at all. And So like I said, so of course going into the movie further and seeing how scary it was getting, and not knowing who Ghostface was, and I'm like, oh, this is scary, you know. But like I said, so even though I was like feeling scared within those moments the first time watching it, I just continued watching it because I just wanted to see where it was going, and I wanted to see how it was gonna end. And so, and of course I even like Dewey as well. And yes, with Gail, I didn't know what to think of her at first either, only because she did not act it so nice. She acted like a you know what, like a like a bee. Let me just put it that way. And so, and of course she acted like pretty much very selfish, like very like a egotistic um bee. So I'll just put it that way. So because of that, I was just like, okay, I don't know what to think of her right now, but you know, so and then of course, so of course, as I get so like I said, as we go further into the movie, there are some things I was learning about each character, and when I learned about how, you know, Sydney's mother, how she was murdered a year before, and how she's like still grieving over her mother's death, and how, you know, she just felt really sad because I think somehow she felt like if her mom was still around, that maybe they probably would be more like a family, and maybe have like a mother and daughter bond. So I just could see, you know, just how sad she was. And I think somehow in the way she felt alone, that her mother's not there. And so of course, you know, I felt very bad. You know, I felt sad for Sydney for that. And of course, you know, like I said, there are some parts where, and of course, obviously there were some funny parts in there that I did laugh at. So of course, it did have a bit of humor, which I liked. But even those other scary parts, even with Ghostface and everything, I was like, okay, who is this? So of course, every time Ghostface showed up, I was just like screaming, and then I'm just, you know, scared. I'm like, who is this? Like, oh my gosh, like, who is this showing up and, you know, killing these characters, and even was like stalking Tatum and Sydney. Like first, I believe whoever it was that was Ghostface at the time was watching them when they were having that private conversation about Sydney's mother, and even when they went to the store to get some snacks and food, you know, for the party that Stu was gonna have at his house, because I think it was until they got some ice cream, and you can see his reflection on the door. So it's like, who was that at that time? Was it Stu? Was it Billy? That I don't know, but whoever it was definitely following them, and also like hearing what they're saying. So I don't want to make this too long, but I will just try to make it as short as I can. But the thing is that going into the movie, I just, you know, I just liked it, um, and of course within those parts where Ghostface showed up, I was just like screaming. I was just like, oh no, just like, and I remember that I actually was scared of how the face, like how the ghost face looked, you know, of the mask looked and everything. And so of course, and even leading up to the party, to the end, and to the reveal, like I mean, I was shocked, but at the same time, I had a gut feeling that it was Billy, because it wasn't until, like I said, I would say there are some things between Stu and Billy, like the way they acted. Somehow, I wasn't sure about them, and I didn't know what to think of them, and and I just thought like, um, it, like I said, I just didn't know. And so somehow, but then, like I said, it wasn't until leading up to where they let Randy in, you know, after the party, and then when Billy turned around and had this look, and he says, "We all go a little mad sometimes." I was shocked, but at the same time, I had this gut feeling. I was like, I knew it. Like, I knew there was something very off about him. So I just had a feeling. And then it wasn't until when Sydney realized that he was one of the killers, and then when she turns around, she bumps into Stu, and she even tells him, to help her, but then he has the voice changer, and he said in his hand, and he says, "Surprise, Sydney," and I'm like, and then so even seeing how Stu was one of them too, I was just like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, I think I wasn't as shocked, but I was still surprised, and I thought, I had a feeling something was also very off about him too. So I was just like, and I thought, no wonder he just acted so weird, like. So, but yeah, seeing how he even had, but like I said, even seeing how he was also acting, like probably a little bit more weird, but a little bit more, uh, like crazy, then yeah, I can somehow see like, okay, no wonder his personality seemed a little off, especially the way he was acting before the reveal. And so, but yeah, like I said, it seemed like he was trying too hard to somehow to be cool and to somehow seem funny, even though he wasn't. And I'm sorry for those who really like or love Stu. I apologize, but personally, I don't like Stu. He just throws me off, and he's just one of those characters where I would just step away further from him to keep my distance. And Billy too, because I didn't like the way he was acting either. Even the way he was acting just seemed like a bit quiet, and even the way he was acting towards Sydney just did not seem like he was acting like a boyfriend to her. To me, he just seemed like he didn't know what to say or what to do, and to me, I was like, okay, something's fishy about him. So yeah, somehow I had a feeling about them, and turned out it was right. So anyway, yeah, so after the first time watching this, I was like shocked of the reveal, but I also, at the same time, I found myself that I really liked it, but even though I watched it, I actually came to love it, and it's actually one of my favorite scary movies. Oh, and even the sequels as well, they are too. And so, yeah, that was my first time watching it. Like, yes, certain parts I was scared the first time, and I was like screaming. And to be honest, even after watching this, I did have nightmares about Ghostface. So yeah, that's pretty much now. Okay, so what I thought about it, I thought it was great, because I thought I never saw a horror movie like this before, and to me, I just thought it was great. And because of the fact that Wes Craven directed this movie, he did an amazing job, and he was a genius, you know. And Kevin Williamson, who also wrote the script, you know, and because he did very well too, he did great. And so with them working together and with the cast, you know, they all did great too. And so I just loved everything about it. And so yeah, I still enjoy it. I still love watching it. Um, so yeah, I think I'm not scared as much, but still, like, in a way, I still get scared, you know. So yes, and I would say what it made me felt was like, wow, like this was you know, of course it made me felt scared. It made me felt like, okay, now I'm scared of Ghostface. To be honest, I think if someone was dressed in the full costume of Ghostface and stood up behind me, I do think I would be probably scared. Especially if they were gonna like chase after me. Like, then yeah, then I would. And I think my impression on it was that, like I said, this was a really well done, great horror movie, horror slasher movie, and it was it was nothing that I've ever seen before, and I was just like, wow, okay, that was great. And even the twist, though, I loved the twist, like, of how it was revealed, because I did not see that coming, you know. So I liked how it just like kept it a mystery, like who is it? But then by the time it is revealed, it's like either it was somebody that you have suspected, which I did actually suspected Billions too, because the way they were acting, or it could have been somebody you never thought of, and you're probably even more surprised because you weren't expecting to be that particular character when it actually turned out to be them all along. So yeah, that was my first time watching Scream, and what I thought about it and everything, and how actually, like I said, it became my favorite scary movie along with its sequels. And yes, I'm also very excited to go see Scream 6, which comes out on March 10th, so I'm very excited for that. So I hope you enjoyed this movie memory video, which is called Back in Time Watches. So I hope you enjoyed this, and for more movie content, please subscribe and click on the bell so you'll be notified when I upload. And comment down below on what was the first time that you watched Scream. So I hope you enjoyed this. That is all for today, and I'll see you at the movies.